I'm sorry, y'all. I'm gonna keep going in on Brandon Johnson. He is horrible, the worst mayor that Chicago ever elected. I'm trying to see my notes, but like, share, subscribe. I really appreciate my new subscribers. Thank you so much. Trying to stay in the algorithm, but we going back in. Then I'm gonna do Wendy Williams because she does not have dementia, and I'm trying to figure out for her what has she done to the powers that be, because they didn't sacrifice her, they didn't, but they got this woman in control of her money, and she's seen another doctor but that's my next video. And then I don't know, y'all know R. Kelly just did another interview, so I might just do R. Kelly again, and then I'm gonna end it there. But yeah, let's get in on. Let's bring Brandon Johnson back in front. Put he in the corner. You know how they used to put you in the corner at school when you did. Oh shoot, hold on. I'm live. I'll call you back when I finish. Yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. But now let's listen to this. This is why he got a 6% approval rating. This is Brandon Johnson's 830 million debt plan. It's like a parking meter deal, and this is the opinion of Crain's Chicago business. Wait a minute, it's not gonna let me oh man, it ain't gonna let me. I didn't know I had to do all this to get this article. Dang, I wanted to do this article. Maybe I can find something else. But anyway, so remember when he testified before Congress on March 5th, and they brought up the gift room and where he got like, yes, please hit the like button. Thank y'all. Where he's got these Gucci shoes and all this stuff, and it's in this gift room. And he was saying, well, I thought I was just up here to talk about the sanctuary city. Well, they bought up all his stuff, and he failed miserably. But Brandon Johnson's administration opened a small city hall room crammed with gifts his office accepted on behalf of the city to reporters on Monday, even as questions continued to swirl about who gave him these gifts. WTTW News was one of the several news organizations granted access to the closet on Monday, 40 days after Inspector General Deborah Witzberg reported that pricey gifts of luxury handbags, designer cufflinks, and shoes were accepted without proper reporting as required by the city's ethics ordinance. Under new rules announced Monday, members of the public will be allowed to sign up for a 15-minute slot to inspect the city gift room every 3 months. Oh yeah, they going in on them. Those spots will be awarded on first come, first served basis, officials said. The first opportunity will take place on April 1st. After members of the public get a chance to see the gifts, items will be donated. Oh, he ain't keeping them now. Donated to local Chicago charities. A 21-second video of the room posted to the mayor's YouTube page on February 12th. I didn't know the idiot even had a YouTube page. And in the room, there's artwork, coffee mugs, shoes, baseball caps, t-shirts, awards, plaques, and books on shelves lining three walls failed to quell the controversy. Under an unwritten agreement between the Chicago Board of Ethics and the mayor's office that began in the late 1980s, gifts accepted by the mayor were supposed to be logged in a book that would be available for public viewing on the fifth floor of City Hall. But in fact, the gift is located on the third floor of City Hall, which is mostly used for storage and non public offices at the end of a dark hallway. On Monday, the room contained the gifts of Hugo Boss cufflinks, Kate Spade and Gucci purses, a Google Pixel watch, and Apple AirPods. Johnson office has accepted 365 gifts since May 2023. I don't know what you want to give him a gift for. He ain't worth nothing. When he took office, according to the law, the city ethics ordinance prohibits elected officials and city employees from accepting most gifts more than $50. The law fails to identify the giver of the majority of the gifts, even though the law includes space to document the date the gift was received, the name, and the associated organization who gave the gift. The mayor receives mementos and small items at many public events, and it's often difficult to capture the contact information of the gift giver. The city will make a concerted effort to log all contact information for any future gifts. I bet you will now. The log details the acceptance of 22 gifts on February 11th, including men's gold star dress socks and a crystal necklace. The socks were in the gift room as required as Monday. The, the law does not identify who gave the mayor those gifts, even though they were accepted 1 week after the Corporation Counsel, Mary Richardson, told reporters the mayor's office will make sure that they have a process that acknowledges the gift. Listen to him. I'm live! And that it came in. Oh, okay. U.S. Representative Brandon Gill of Texas asked Johnson about the gift room during Wednesday's hearing in city protections of undocumented immigrants, in, like I just said, in Washington. After Whisper's audit, the Chicago Board of Ethics revoked the unwritten arrangement about gifts accepted by the mayor on behalf of the city. Ooh. Whisper audit detailed repeated efforts by the mayor's staff to hinder her probe into the mayor's acceptance of gifts. When an undercover investigator working for Whisper asked in June to see the list of gifts to Johnson on a required official document, they were turned away in violation of city ordinance. I can't stand him being Yes, you should be embarrassed with your. In November, staff in mayor's office refused to allow representatives of the inspector general's office to inspect the gifts to ensure they were being properly stored. Whisper has repeatedly insisted that her office has authority access to the mayor's gift room whenever she deems it necessary to determine whether his office is complying with the city's ethics ordinance. Whisper declined to tell WTTW News on Monday whether her office has attempted to make another unannounced visit to the gift room. That's what you get. Then he went on. Oh man, they ain't let me. I can't bring this article up. So apparently there was I said I was live. Damn. Apparently there was a tourist shooting in Chicago downtown the other day. And I guess people are upset because he didn't really say anything about it. Mayor Johnson on Tuesday left no doubt he remains opposed to downtown curfew at 8 p.m. for unaccompanied minors, even after a tourist was shot while walking with her son outside of a movie theater. Instead of using the stick to prevent young people summoned by social media from congregating, and sometimes creating havoc downtown, Johnson favors offering them the care of paid employment. Take that chicken out that pot. That's what the oh my God. That's what the mayor was attempted to do during Tuesday's news conference at Uplift Community High School. There, where he formally launched the online process for 29,000 youth employment opportunities in one summer Chicago. Shootings in Chicago are still very much a problem. No one's going to disagree with that. But as far as making sure we keep our community safe, we have to do things that work. And what works is that we have to invest in people. Well, you should have kept shot spotter. That every time there's a shooting or bullets being heard, it's picked up and the police go there immediately. You got rid of that as high as much of high crime that you have in Chicago. There's more work to be done to get illegal guns off the streets and hold people accountable when they do commit crimes, Johnson said. But I believe that by having policies in place that actually work and investing in people, the same key point he says all the time, that's our pathway to continue to build a stronger, safer Chicago. Downtown Alderman Brian Hopkins said Johnson's mantra about investing in people has become a meaningless cliche. It sure have, and a mayoral cop-out. He favors the 8 p.m. curfew, which has been bottled up in the council rules committee. We have violence interpreters who were present in the crowd, violence interrupters who were present in the crowd of teenagers, and they were unable to stop this shooting from happening. We need to address root causes, but we had young people fighting with guns to say the answer is that to invest in people doesn't get us out of the immediacy of the situation where gun violence is breaking out on the streets of downtown Chicago. Hopkins accused Johnson of trying to distract from his opposition to basic law enforcement tactics by saying the answer to the escalating problem of youth violence downtown is to invest in people. It's the same thing he's been saying. I agree. It's the only solution that then we might as well surrender our streets to teenagers with guns. The shooting that damaged Chicago's reputation as a tourist-friendly city happened Sunday after 8 p.m. A Connecticut woman and her son, who came to Chicago for a school choir conference, were walking back to their hotel after a pizza dinner when they heard two gunshots and saw feathers flying from a woman's coat. In spite of the mayor's opposition to a downtown curfew, Hopkins vowed to try again to pass it before the traditionally violent summer months. Each year, we've seen a continuation, if not escalation, of the phenomena of teenage flash mobs. What's changed is that the frequency and number of times it erupts into gunfire. The bullet that struck the tourist's arm was inches away from her heart. Wow. Wow. She got hit by a second bullet, which hit her purse. To say the answer to that is to say let's invest in people is absurd. The inadequacy of that as a response is pathetic. It sure is. Because all he talk is his talking points. He don't say nothing else. It's not the first time that Johnson has been accused of behaving like a permissive parent. During Tuesday's news conference, he pretty much came clean about the political motive behind his more lenient approach. I won by roughly 26,562 votes, and there were 27,000 new voters that voted in April that did not vote in February, Johnson said. What that got to do with anything? Because everybody in Chicago wish they wouldn't have voted for you, idiot. I'm the mayor of the city of Chicago. He's so arrogant because of young people. So there is anybody that I have to show up for is for the people who know that this city is better, stronger, and safer when young people are loved, supported, and invested in. That's why you got a 6% approval rating. That's why. Oh, shit. That's why. Mayor Johnson now is tasked with finding a new alderperson for the 35th Ward, but one candidate is calling the effort a charade. The mayor recently appointed ally Alderman Carlos Rosa to a new role, leading Chicago Park District. Oh, he awful too. First of all, candidates must live in the 35th Ward. Applications will be accepted through next Monday. A committee headed by Alderman Michelle Harris would take the suggestion to the mayor. The 35th Ward deserves to be represented by a leader who has deep ties to the community and reflects the values of the residents in the 35th Ward, Johnson said. I trust that 3 community leaders will find suitable candidates to represent the hardworking people of the 35th Ward. One of the other candidates says the whole vetting process to find a replacement seems disingenuous. I don't necessarily like the way that things are being done and the kind of charade that's taking place. And I wouldn't be here if I didn't think I could do a better job. Taybone is an entrepreneur and Army veteran who took part in the community meeting on Sunday. Mm. Oh, this is what I want. This is what I want. I swear to God. Okay, I think I got it. I got it. This the one yep, this the one I'm going. This is the stupid mayor 830 million debt plan. Starting down a budget deficit, and you know Chicago got $1 billion deficit, which 500 million is for housing and feeding the illegals that walked through the jungle and went through 10,000 countries to get here. So this is the budget deficit that he proposes. Sell off the next 75 years of parking meter proceeds and spend all that cash today. We'll figure out how to replace the revenue ladder. That is unbelievable. Want pension sweeteners for elected officials? No problem. That bill won't come due until we're all out of office anyway. Find yourself the least popular politician in state history and need to pay for clout. Pass an $830 million bond deal with no payments on principal for 20 years. The latter is what Chicago Mayor Johnson did on February 26. Johnson's bond deal is not an asset sale like Mayor Richard Daley's parking meter deal, and it came under more scrutiny from City Council. But Johnson's plan creates an enormous debt deferred obligation, sure do, which is all kind of fiscal irresponsibility. That's what happened when you vote for people because they look like you. Because all skin folk ain't kinfolk. And like Daley's parking meters, he sold out Chicago's future for short-term political gain. Just 6.6% of Chicagoans view him favorably. I ain't never even. Now they say Kwame Kilpatrick had the lowest in history with a 2% approval rate when he was in office. I don't believe that because I actually like Kwame. But anyway, that makes him the most unpopular politician in Illinois history, worse than the low watermark Governor Rob Blagojevich. That's who Trump pardoned. Yet more than half of Chicago City Council voted in favor of Johnson's reckless $830 million bond deal. Under Johnson's plan, the city makes no payments on debt over the next 2 years, and it makes no payments on the principal for 18 years after that. This backloaded schedule balloons the total cost of debt to $2 billion. Well, that's because their bond rating went down too. I think they almost at junk status. Every major editorial board in Chicago and several city council members spoke up about this gross irresponsibility. Alderman Brandy Riley, 42nd Ward, made a motion to delay voting on Johnson's borrowing package until May to allow for more analysis and revision. Then a motion was introduced to kill Riley's motion. City Council voted on the motion to lay 25-25. Johnson cast a tie-breaking vote in his favor. Of course he would. Council then took a vote on Johnson's borrowing package and approved it 26-23. The three main reasons why this bill passed. In New York or Los Angeles, the mayor could never break a tie vote. Exactly. I didn't even know a mayor had power to do that. Wow. Could never break a tie vote on whether to delay consideration of an $830 million bond deal because the mayor isn't even in the room. In New York, a council speaker elected by council members presides over city council in LA. A council president elected by the council member presides over city council. The structure was created by the city charters of New York and LA to have balance. And they should have a lay person that came in and cast the final vote. Like the vice president of the United States, if there's a tie break, he cast a tie breaking vote, not the mayor. The roll call. The vote to kill Riley's motion to delay tied 25-25, but the borrowing package passed with 26 votes. The difference, Alderman Andre Vasquez voted with Riley, then voted with Johnson. So did David Moore, 17th Ward, and Alderman Desmond Yancey, 5th Ward, voted present on the borrowing deal. Last, Chicago's pay later political structure. In research for our book, The New Chicago, Lessons from Other Big Cities. Let me see, I'm going to skip through all this. The first respectable reason is to borrow is short term, exactly. Not 20 years and you're not even paying the principal. To balance mismatches of revenue and spending within a given year due to an economic shock. The second respectable reason is to borrow in long term to fund capital projects. Facts. The third reason, which is not respectable, is to cover operating deficits. Facts. And you had $1 billion deficit because you funded the illegals. Johnson's borrowing plan was marked as an infrastructure project, but it contains plenty of the third reason for accessing the credit market. That's why he's the worst mayor in history. And this is my last time. Because I know they wish they wouldn't voted for him. I know they do. Because he's an embarrassment. Then check this video out. This why he the worst. Let me see if I can get up. Running in building department. Tell Kimberly Roberts to talk to Marlene whatever her name is, Marlene Hopkins, about her running an illegal eminent domain scheme, and also stop violating the U.S. Constitution and violating people's rights. There's someone that said it's freedom of speech. That's like how they can do whatever they want, it's freedom of speech. Y'all banning people from marching, for speaking on what he thought. I mean, that's what he thought. At the end of the day, y'all banning people from speaking. Y'all violating freedom of speech. Y'all violating the First Amendment. Do y'all know what the Constitution is? Do y'all read it? Like, do y'all know? But I don't know. Okay. Good job, y'all. Let me skip through some of this. Oh, here we go. Thank you, Chairwoman and honorable members, for the opportunity to speak. My name is Chris Sutta, and I'm a small business owner in Chicago, Illinois. I operate a business that cannabinoid hemp products, which have become cornerstones for both our livelihood and the community that we serve. I'm deeply concerned about the regulations in the situation. I'm deeply concerned about the proposed ordinance and ban of these products. It would not only jeopardize our business, but also force my family and I to find healthy work. Now, cannabinoid hemp products have become an essential part of my life as an individual and my family's as well. I'm going to speak from the heart of things. Not everyone can afford cannabis. Not everyone can afford going to a dispensary to purchase products. And the solutions that the government has provided for Americans are not always the best options. Whether it's opiates or other different prescription drugs, these things have ruined the lives of many, many Americans. Many people in this room have stories that they can relate to. I myself, as I've dived further into the industry, I've been able to provide solutions for not only my family, that's changed their lives, and taught them to live a healthier life. Wait till y'all hear the answer. That's why I'm letting this play. But also I'm able to provide that to many people in the community. And so it is essential that we implement proper regulations for this industry. It shouldn't be a pay-to-play game. And that's what America has always been built on, but it's also a land of opportunity. So it is important that we provide safe alternatives for the community. That's what this is all about, safe alternatives. We want to work with big cannabis. There's room for everybody to eat. It's about providing not only opportunity, for any individual that's needing to provide an income for their family and also benefit their community in doing so, but also for them to continue providing solutions for the community. The people who need the medicine the most are the people who can't afford cannabis. The people who are coming from low income. Okay, let's get to the answer. Because people down here talking about they want to be able to sell this. Yes, we are. We don't make them so famous. Oh, this is my girl. Rodriguez, we got to make them everybody from other races coming here. But it's necessary that we find regulations to implement and keep these businesses alive and to provide solutions for not only myself and my family selfishly, but selflessly for everybody else in the community. And it's important that we lead by example because the actions we take. Okay, he almost finished because I want to get to the next because these are my two girls coming up. Everybody sees how the city is moving in the mental state of the world. We need to continue providing proper solutions in a safe manner. That's all I have to say. Thank you, guys. This is my girl coming up. This is Turn Chicago Red.
Yeah, well, I'm going to speak from You all need to put your stuff in your community. Yeah. You need to get this watered down, disgraced, synthetic, whatever junk it is, you need to put it in your neighborhood. And
Right.
you need to make money off of your people with it. And your kids need to go to school and be able to stop at the local gas stations and get it and be doped up on it, messed up on it before they get to their classroom.
That's right.
Now, outside of that, because I'm tired of everybody from other races coming here thinking that they got to come up with solutions for us. Everything is anchored in what we can't afford.
Right.
Everything is anchored in what we can't afford.
Facts.
We got to have subsidized housing, low-income housing, even lower-income housing in our neighborhoods because according to the Democratic Party, black people can't pay rent.
Oh, that part.
But you don't have nothing to say about how y'all stealing our property.
Right.
People that do own, you don't have no protections for that. Now you want to come in here today and talk about how you need to put some watered down, messed up junk in our neighborhoods, basically because we can't afford to buy weed. Since when?
That part.
Right. I don't care about your family. All right? I care about mine. I care about mine. The families that been here for generations paying money into this country.
Come on.
The people who built this country on their back didn't just come here to make a profit.
Right.
They built it on their back so that you could come and make a profit. Don't get it twisted. With that being said, Happy New Year. And it's time to put another name. Famous Friday. I know y'all been tuning in. I know you've been tuning in. You've been learning a lot. Because we sure been telling a lot. So here we go. Who's next? All right. Famous Friday. Here we go. Zoe Lee at 6 o'clock on YouTube. Leigh. Friday. It's Famous Friday. Woo. This is a hot argument. Michael Rodriguez. Boom. Yes. Oh. We're going to make him so famous. Yes, we are. We're going to make him so famous. But what do you say? How y'all going to get federal cases on Trump for getting these illegals out of here? We met the borders off. Didn't he say that he coming because the black community wants it? That's right. Oh, yeah. That's right. And we're going to lead them right to your man. We're going to lead them right to your man.
Go on, Jessica.
Famous Friday, Michael Rodriguez, we got to make him famous. Yes. Next speaker is Danielle. I hate Michael Rodriguez.
I like her too. They be going, this is Flip Chicago Red.
Y'all can see the shirt, right? Break it down, Danny. So y'all voted for their budget, right? And they're putting down just for our taxes and things like that, okay? All right, we know you all don't care about that. And so look at the seats. Everybody got raises, but y'all coming in here late. Look at y'all, not even showing up. Okay, and that's our tax dollars paying for it. All right. You all want to keep protecting these illegals, want to keep spending our tax dollars on that. You all voted for that. You knew we didn't want that. We told you all we didn't want that. Everybody getting paid off our tax dollars. But that's all right. Like we keep saying, we're making it our mission that none of you all be in these seats. And we're definitely making it happen. And that's what's going to happen. Now, I'm tired of hearing everybody come up here this time to advocate for what they want. We don't care nothing about no illegal substance being in our neighborhood. We don't care about what you're able to sell, what you want to sell, all that. We don't care about that. We don't want that garbage in our neighborhood.
Facts.
What y'all did was took away the centers for the mental health that were helping people to get their problems from solved, like psychologists, people that we need mental health or substance abuse help.
Right.
That's what we need. But you all took that from our community, took that, found them from these legals, giving them all our resources, and then we got people down here talking about they want to be able to sell this synthetic stuff or this stuff because people can't afford it. No income people can't afford that. Well, they couldn't afford it, they shouldn't be on.
Right. Right. That part.
And if they got a problem, we should have more. Let's these little shops that's selling this stuff, let's shut them down and replace them with something that helps them recover. To get off this stuff, to be able to learn to think properly, to implement it so they can have jobs and things like that. That's all the shops that's going to sell this garbage. Let's replace them with things that's going to help them get off this garbage.
Facts.
And educate them and maybe put some things where they can learn a trade or something like that. Let's do that. If you really want to help the low-income neighborhood, get them to help them make money and take care of their families.
Come on.
Making y'all rich. That's dumb. We care nothing. Let me say at this point. We care nothing about nobody else.
At all.
So whatever y'all want to do, we don't care nothing about that. It's about we be in our black communities. We don't need to have. I don't see no black people over here, no black person over here advocating when they don't have a shop. In our black neighborhood. So we don't care nothing about that. That's if we're from our people, helping them come up. Don't nobody care about all this other stuff y'all talking about. And since y'all don't care, we're gonna make sure we make it happen.
Sure is. You put them in our neighborhood if you want to and see if Trump don't get them out. We're going to get Trump to get them out. Believe that. Yeah.
That's Flip Chicago Red, and they ain't playing. And they did meet with Tom Homan. And Tom Homan was like, we're going to make Chicago first of getting these illegals out. No, okay, that was... Yep. But that's why. They need it, and they're going to get them all out. They're going to get them all out. Because Chicago been corrupt. Oh, wait a minute. I thought I had. That's New York. Hold on, y'all. 7. I need to go to the 12. I got so much information, and it just, but I write it down to be more organized now. But that's Flip Chicago Red. I'm trying to read this. Dang. All this stuff. I can't wait to delete this stuff. I already did this. Let me delete this. Let me delete this up out of here. I already did Sukiana. And all this on LA, I must be writing down the wrong dates. Oh, here we go.
Polls show 76% of those surveyed say Chicago would be better off with a different mayor. How do you convince them otherwise?
Well, look, the people of Chicago elected me to invest in people. In every single category as it relates to investments, they're up. I actually am humbled that the people of Chicago believe in my administration enough to have greater expectations than any other administration. That's what leadership looks like, and I'm humbled to do it.
Wow.
Why do you say that? Why do you say that there's greater expectations? I don't know where I hear that. And then the feedback instead is that the polling is poor. So how do I don't know how you interpret it that way.
Well, because maybe because I'm a middle child. Maybe it's because I'm a Bears fan. By the way, the Bears are undefeated in 2025, so we're off to a great start. Here's what I'm saying, though. Look, the people of Chicago voted for me to invest in them, and that's exactly what we've done. And I'm going to continue to do that.
What's up, y'all? Gerald here, creator of Gospel Chops and your host for this YouTube channel.
If he ain't the worst mayor ever, arrogant, didn't even... How you gonna continue invest on the same talking points? No solutions, nothing. You're not getting another term. Now with a 6% approval rating. Okay, this is January 21st. Oh, shoot. I didn't know I had that on R. Kelly. We gonna get into Drake, too. Oh, I can delete this. I already did. Pretty Hoe. Did y'all watch my Pretty Hoe video? Let me see if this is it. Nope.
Just enough to where I could bring it.
Oh, here we go.
Garrett Tenney is live for us in Chicago. Garrett.
Yeah, Harris, those proposed changes would have allowed Chicago police to work with ICE only in cases involving a violent criminal, which is the kind of people state and local officials claim they don't want to be here. Instead, progressives on the city council have spent the past week preparing to fight this expected ICE operation by canvassing Latino neighborhoods to pass out these flyers, telling folks to not open their doors and to remain silent if ICE agents show up looking for any convicted criminals.
Talking to people, the fear is palpable. The fear is vocalized by our residents. People in the streets are saying that they're scared that ICE agents will show up at their doorsteps, at their workplaces, at their places of worship, or places of going to school. They're scared of that. That is a problem.
Governor J.B. Pritzker could push for changes in the state sanctuary policies to allow Illinois police to cooperate in some limited way, but he hasn't given any indication that that is something he's even considering, despite repeatedly saying criminal illegal migrants should be arrested and removed.
If there are violent criminals who have been convicted of violent crimes, who are undocumented, they are supposed to be deported. That is the law of the United States and has been.
That's not what you were saying before. You was like you was protecting everybody. It did not matter that all illegals would be protected. And I don't understand how they got any rights. They're not citizens. How do you have a right when you're not a citizen of the country? Now, that's what I want to know. How? And what you're doing is illegal. And that's a fact. That's a fact, and this is why this happened.
That hundreds of immigrants and other news have been arrested in the days since Donald Trump took office, and now a memo issued by the Justice Department calls for local officials who interfere with President Trump's sweeping immigration orders to be investigated.
It also warns that those officials could face criminal charges if they don't comply. Our Casey Cronus is live tonight downtown with what we know. Casey.
Some feel this is simply a scare tactic to convince cities like Chicago to comply, and only time will tell whether local officials will actually be prosecuted if they don't. Three-page memo issued by Acting Deputy Attorney General Emile Beauvais and published by Politico was sent to all DOJ employees. It orders federal prosecutors to work with the newly established Sanctuary Cities Enforcement Working Group to identify and challenge state and local laws, policies, and activities that are inconsistent with executive branch immigration initiatives.
Many people believe that this is an attempt to potentially target local officials in cities like Chicago.
Chicago officials, including Mayor Brandon
Well, guess what? They stopped all the funding. Chicago gets nothing. New York gets nothing. They get nothing. They get no funding.
We see in LA how an incompetent mayor can burn a city to the ground. A lot of Chicagoans are telling me that they fear that you're burning Chicago to the ground financially, and the S&P downgrade is proof of that. You say that you're surrounded by the greatest financial minds in the country, yet your vice mayor, who's standing right next to you, Alderman Burnett, is a convicted bank robber.
Before we continue, just so we're all on the same page, this guy right here is Alderman Burnett, and he served 2 years in prison for his role in a bank robbery in 1981. And in case you didn't hear, the city just suffered a credit downgrade. Let's keep going, because this is about to get good.
To add insult to injury.
Sir, I need you to ask your question, please.
Yeah, I will. I know you don't like my questions.
No, it's not that I don't like your question. Just ask the question, and let's try to avoid being insensitive as well as dismissive.
I think bank robbery is insensitive, but
ask your question.
That's a difference of opinion, perhaps. Your wife, for example, to add insult to injury, spent $80,000 taxpayer dollars remodeling a, quote, First Lady office. She sits on a $5,000 First Lady chair. Yet no one that I've interviewed so far has any idea what she's doing. Yeah. The question, before you cut my mic, apparently, is what have you learned, if anything, from Los Angeles Mayor Bass's incompetence?
Right, nothing.
You know, as we work to bring the city of Chicago together and our country together, it's important that we stand in support of the families that have experienced loss in Los Angeles. The horrific terrorist attack that happened in New Orleans. Our thoughts and our prayers and our efforts have to be to ensure that as a nation that we come together and that you know, we don't use these moments of tragedy to further invert divide.
Ain't answer one question. Didn't answer one question. Nothing. Awful. Oh, that's Massachusetts.
Easy that they're fighting these raids. They're actually trying to fight, like, arresting people that are criminals. Like, I don't know, why would you do this?
Garrett Tenney is live for us in Chicago. Garrett.
Yeah, Harris, those proposed changes would have allowed Chicago police to work with ICE only in cases involving a violent criminal, which is the kind of people state and local officials claim they don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Instead, progressives on the city council have spent the past week preparing to fight this expected ICE operation by canvassing Latino neighborhoods to pass out these flyers, telling folks to not open their doors and to remain silent if ICE agents show up looking for any convicted criminals.
And that is against the Constitution. That is against the Constitution.
Guys, people are sick and tired of being sick and tired. I think that's just the other reality.
That something is about to happen, that there's about to be a change. We cannot continue to hemorrhage money in the city the way that we have been. I do have some concerns, though, about the fact that I do know that city officials here are holding classes to teach migrants how to avoid ICE or how to evade ICE.
Guys, tell me that's not real. So this is definitely
and how do you have any rights in a country you're not a citizen of? How do you have any rights in a city that you're, or a country that you are not a citizen of? Okay, see. 25, 27, 28, 25.
There is a new move to recall Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. The first attempt, you may remember, came from a Chicago resident, an average citizen. But this next one comes from Springfield. NBC5's Chela Majahussi got the mayor's reaction to this today.
As he joined a cavalcade of public officials welcoming a $1.9 billion federal investment in the CTA's Red Line extension, Mayor Brandon Johnson brushed off what have been increasing calls for him to be recalled.
As far as, people introducing legislation, that's their job to do that.
Late Thursday night, Representatives Anthony DeLuca and LaShawn Ford introduced HB 1084, calling for a clear and effective process to conduct recall elections in cities like Chicago.
People are asking for it. It's not something that I thought of myself. It's something that constituents asked for in 2015 after the Laquan McDonald's tape was released.
At the time, Ford's bill, which he has introduced every year since, was aimed at Mayor Rahm Emanuel. There is already a grassroots effort underway to collect the more than 56,000 signatures necessary to force a recall. The man behind that movement is Dan Boland.
Every day that the mayor is in office is a master class in why a Chicago mayoral recall mechanism is needed.
Facts.
His office is still really questions were raised
about
his status.
Facts. And he needs to be recalled.
Johnson is a menace.
Limited way, but he hasn't given any indication that that is something he's even considering, despite repeatedly saying criminal illegal migrants should be arrested and removed.
If there are violent criminals who
we've
have
seen
been
that.
convicted of violent crimes.
Because that's not what you said at first. That is not what you said at first. You was protecting everybody. And this is who they arrested.
Tensions are rising as a migrant caravan with people from parts of Central and South America is heading towards the U.S. from Mexico.
Look, I've been speaking with my sources in Mexico who say that the caravan has just taken off from Tapachula, Mexico, so still traveling to Chiapas, Mexico. And then just since October, this is at least the 10th caravan to form and depart from that Tapachula area. According to Mexican immigration authorities, they expect even more of these caravans to form and depart in the coming days before President-elect takes office. You're looking at some of that footage now. Hundreds right now making that long trek north on foot. The majority of migrants in this caravan are Venezuelan. According to my contacts, those migrants are headed towards that Juarez, Mexico area. That's just right across El Paso.
Welcome back, everyone. It was a very unfestive New Year's Eve for some members of the notorious Tren de Aragua gang. Texas officials arresting 4 members of the violent group as they tried to cross into the United States illegally. And those individuals all have criminal history.
The Venezuelan gang is known for their extortion, extreme violence, and human trafficking. That Venezuelan gang is starting to have a growing presence here in the United States. Now, on December 31st, Texas state troopers encountered 22 migrants attempting to cross illegally in Val Verde County, Texas. Among them, 9 Venezuelan nationals. Now, during interviews and phone searches, DPS identified 4 as confirmed members of the Tren de Aragua gang based on tattoos and social media activity revealed in their affiliations. Now, among them, one of the men actually has tattoos on her shoulder indicating a leadership role in the Tren de Aragua gang. The other men in their late teens and 20s were linked to crimes such as extortion, migrant trafficking, and violent offenses. The group told authorities that they were headed to areas in Texas like San Antonio, Irving, and Corsicana. Texas raising concern about the gang's intentions within the state on their potential network expansion.
Well, there you go, another caravan. I mean, that's the norm nowadays. They probably know most of them will not be able to get through, but they still...
The path. Define the MTA. Reduce...
And they want to go to Chicago. They want to go to Chicago. This is who you're protecting.
At 200 miles an hour.
This is who you're protecting. Oh, I can delete this. Oh, I had deleted this.
Promises made, promises kept, with President Trump taking immediate action on his top campaign focus, fighting immigration. From coast to coast, ICE agents going city to city, sometimes door to door, tracking down the nearly 1.5 million undocumented set for deportation. And as ICE closes in on migrants, once vibrant Chicago neighborhoods are now turning into ghost towns. And tonight we are taking you to a neighborhood that has gone silent.
Look, I said from day one, no one's off the table.
The Trump administration setting out to execute what it has promised.
We arrested 1,300 people. Over 1,000 of them were criminals.
Immigration and customs enforcement operations reportedly underway in jurisdictions all across the nation. Federal agents have been spotted in many sanctuary cities carrying out these operations.
I hope the sanctuary cities come around.
The usually bustling and vibrant streets of this Hispanic neighborhood in Chicago sit relatively empty because of the concerns over ICE.
Welcome to Mesquite Restaurant, sir.
This little taqueria, like most in the Pilsen neighborhood, is owned and operated by immigrants. The Cruz family, who in 1994 made the long journey from Mexico City to Chicago.
Anyway, I'm not going to let that play. I'm trying to get through this stuff. Here go the idiot Governor Pixner.
Chicago to the front of the congregation is because to hunt them down, you look both ways, come to complete, and so your parents would delay the fact.
Okay, I'm gonna just bypass that one. Here go the idiot.
Taking to the streets today, angry about a fast-charging flurry of changes in executive orders in the first few days of the Trump presidency. Fox 32's Nate Rogers reports much of that anger involves immigration.
President Donald Trump's first week in office has energized many Americans, while there are others that have grown furious by swift policy changes. The People's March for Justice bringing hundreds along Michigan Avenue.
So today, I want you to vote to stand up every week, every day, against Trump, against fascist USA, to stand for justice for our people.
More than 60 organizations joining forces.
And they're illegal. They are illegal. It makes no sense. That. Now he from Chicago. I love his channel.
Things are getting kind of nutty out there. 50 people in Adams County, Aurora, Colorado. Round up 50 Tren de Aragua members at makeshift nightclub in Denver as nationwide ICE raids bust child rapists and suspected ISIS terrorists. DEA agents seen with handcuffed illegal immigrants outside a makeshift nightclub where Tren de Aragua gang affiliates were apprehended. DEA Rocky Mountain Field Division. Arrested today by the DEA when they discovered an underground nightclub type event. And when they busted the place, they found 50 illegal immigrants tied to the Tren de Aragua gang down in Venezuela.
Yep, they were selling drugs. They had weapons, $700,000 in cash. Okay, I can get rid of that. I already did that. These are the first violent ones.
What's your name?
There's Dr. Phil and Tom Holman.
Where are you from?
Where I was born or where I'm from?
Where are you born?
Thailand.
You've been deported before from the United States?
Come on, Tom.
Never been deported?
No.
I've been in the system before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you been charged with?
Charged with?
Before?
I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna touch my lawyer.
You don't want to say.
Yeah. Are you a citizen?
My mom says it.
Your mother's a citizen?
Yes.
But you're not?
No.
But you've never been deported before?
We got Dr. Phil. We got Dr. Phil.
Yeah? How do you know me?
No, I seen Dr. Phil, you know, on TV.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is an example of sanctuary cities, right? We got an illegal alien convicted of sex crimes involving children. He's walking the streets of Chicago. Again, the downfall, the problem with the sanctuary city, that people like us walk in the street rather than local law enforcement working with federal agents. This is what we're dealing with. Yeah. You've been charged with sex crimes with children?
Not really.
Not really? And never been deported?
Well.
Huh.
And this is who y'all protecting. Inmates. Now here go a Hispanic alderman.
We're getting the bad, hard criminals out. These are murderers. These are people that have been as bad as you get, as bad as anybody you've seen. We're taking them out first.
All right, President Trump touting his border crackdown at the White House, saying that deportation flights have officially begun. And these are some of the first photos we are seeing now, provided by the press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, showing the first flight. The Pentagon confirming this is a DoD plane heading from the U.S. to Guatemala. Meantime, in cities across the country, including Chicago, ICE is arresting illegal migrants accused of crimes. Let's bring in Chicago Alderman Raymond Lopez. Alderman, you always tell us like it is. Do you like what's happening there in your city right now since this president took office?
I am very thankful that Donald Trump is making good on his campaign promise to focus his energies on getting rid of those who choose to engage in criminal activity in the city of Chicago and across the nation. You know, we
That's
can be
the one
welcoming if we choose
alderman
to be in the city
that
of
got
Chicago, but we
consent.
should welcome those who want to positively contribute to our city and to our country. And we know, unfortunately, that especially after the last 4 years, there are many individuals who are here and across this nation with very different intentions. We have individuals who are very dangerous, who do not belong in our cities, do not belong in our country, and I am glad that the Trump administration is moving quickly to execute these deportations.
We know that even though you're a Democrat, you have a much different take than your Democrat governor. This is some of what we heard from J.B. Pritzker, responding to those who say Dems are fear-mongering these mass deportations. Listen.
They are literally threatening people all across the country. How can you say that we're overreacting somehow? They're the ones that are threatening people, again, who are law-abiding, who are often the anchors of their communities, who are paying taxes in this country. They're the ones who are threatening people. We're just...
And that's why you need to get out. They need to vote y'all out. Every last one of you. Oh, dang. I deleted the wrong one. Oh, my God. Well, I guess I didn't need it. Then this happened.
Also breaking tonight, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson's summons to Congress to testify about Chicago's status as a sanctuary city. We have learned this letter from the House Committee on Oversight and Reform was delivered to City Hall today. It, quote, invites Johnson to testify at a public hearing on Capitol Hill February 11th. The letter states that there are 12 states and hundreds of cities and counties with sanctuary laws or policies, but it singles out Chicago, New York, Boston, and Denver as cities that fail to comply with federal law. The letter says, quote, citizens of all 4 cities have suffered.
And that's why you got a 6% approval rating.
Breaking news tonight, the city of Chicago now being investigated for its sanctuary city status. Mayor Brandon Johnson receiving a letter from Washington, D.C.
And WGN's Brona Tumulty joins us now with the details tonight. Brona?
Good evening, guys. We just got wind of this letter inside of the last hour. It is from Congress, and it states in summary that Chicago and cities like it, notably Denver, Boston, and New York, all of which are sanctuary cities, are now under investigation by the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. Now, that letter refers to sanctuary jurisdictions as having...
And now y'all gonna be prosecuted. I can get rid of that one.
Tonight, we're witnessing something the establishment said would never happen. Right now, across America, a massive deportation operation is underway.
The warrants getting ready to be executed now. There are going to be prosecutions. So look, this great operation that was well targeted. And one thing we showed today, I think to the American people, we recorded a lot of it. It's not neighborhood sweeps looking for people different than us. It isn't racial profiling like you read on the left media. This is a well-planned operation. I walked through the command center. I saw the targeting system. I saw they spent hundreds of hours working these targets up, making sure they have a criminal history and immigration history, and we're likely to find them. A lot of work went into this, and they did a great job. We took a lot of public safety threats off the street here in Chicago. This city's a lot safer today because of what ICE and the other agencies did here today.
Amen. The city is safer.
All those pedophiles and I'm almost done with Chicago. I hope it be a while before I talk about Brandon
New York
Johnson.
City this morning, we are getting the dirt bags off these streets.
We literally have acts of terror that are being promulgated from the federal government.
Did you hear that? He called Ice Age's terrorists. This happens the only time to American citizens that break the law, but when it's an illegal immigrant, it's an act of terror.
Right.
When an illegal immigrant does something horrible to an American citizen, we should label them as they're committing acts of terror against citizens of the United States. Do you think you'll ever hear him saying that? No.
Nope.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for being here. I'm standing with the full force of government today to demonstrate that Chicago is a welcoming city. Regardless of who's in the White House, Chicago is a city that opens its arms to people from around the globe. We will continue to protect civil and human rights, and we welcome all individuals and families who want to work, live, and thrive here in our beloved city.
Not if you're illegal.
Right.
It is not a human right to live in a country where you don't have the documentation. You're not legal to be there. That is
Right.
not a human right. Right.
Right. I want to know how much you getting paid. How much George Soros is paying you?
Make sure you pick up my 2 books that's in Amazon right now. The first one is
Come out with it now. I learned about this the other day, and I said, I got to share it with the family on African Diaspora News Channel. And of course, I'll very likely, in due course, will share it with my own family at VickyDillard.tv. Citizens of all 4 cities have suffered due to sanctuary policies. Chicago is a sanctuary jurisdiction under Chapter 2173 Welcoming City Ordinance and the Illinois Trust Act. The Welcoming City Ordinance prevents local officials from arresting, detaining, or continuing to detain illegal aliens subject to an administrative warrant entered into the Federal Bureau of Investigation's National Crime Information Center database or immigration detainers. Mayor Brandon Johnson recently, quote, reaffirmed his commitment to keep Chicago a sanctuary city. Family, they him up and they using some of his own words against him. So number 1, he just found out he's under investigation, his city. Number 2, they said send us your documentations and information and policies on your stuff there.
Right.
So I think he really gonna get in trouble. The next thing is they invited him to bring his hips to DC to a hearing to testify.
Right.
Talk black to me, somebody. Now they're reminding him of his words where he done double down to declare what laws he will and won't abide by for illegal immigrants, illegal criminals. Yeah?
Exactly.
Let's go on, family. He says, I'm going to skip around because there are some sections here where he's specifically addressing New York, which I still think is relevant, but I'm not trying to read all of that to you right now. And of course, a similar section for Denver as well and Boston. But I'm going to skip to the last part of the letter, almost the last part, actually page 3. This is page 4. It's 4 pages, but I'm on page 3 now. I'm skipping. Are y'all listening? I know I'm talking to intelligent black people, so I know y'all can handle receipts and facts. I know you can handle that. It says here on the first paragraph of page 3, it says on the first day of his second term, President Donald Trump took decisive actions to restore the rule of law with respect to immigration enforcement. He goes on to talk about the Attorney General and the Secretary of Homeland Security to evaluate and undertake any lawful action to ensure the so-called sanctuary jurisdictions will seek to interfere with lawful exercise of federal law enforcement operations. If we skip down on this part, this is what I want you to hear this part, because this is what I'm talking to my Chicago people and stop. Because I know y'all gonna remind him that he needs to follow the law over there. Y'all gonna tell him that he needs to fully cooperate with this investigation.
Fact.
And I'm gonna talk about it really briefly on the other end of this. Are y'all listening? Now it gives a breakdown here of some things. Watch this. It says to assist the committee's oversight on this matter, because remember they told him they want him to come testify, right? To assist the committee's oversight on this matter, we request the following documents and information covering the time period and period, January 1st, 2024 to the present as soon as possible, but no later than February 10th, 2025. Y'all ready for the details? They outline at least 4. Is it 4? Let me make sure. 1, 2, 3. Yes, 4. That's right. At least 4 things. What did he say? Number 1, all documents and communications among or between any official, employees, contractor, or agent of the city of Chicago related to the city's sanctuary status. Evan, can y'all see me right now? Can we just click out so they can see my face? Look. Ooh.
Right. Right. They got him. They got his dumb butt. And this how dumb he is.
I was just trying to clarify something. Yesterday, your corporation counsel was stepping in to address the issue about whether you'd go to Washington. When I reached out to the committee, I was told that the chairman of this committee, who wants you to testify about Sanctuary City, expects you to be there, and if not, they will use whatever means they have available, including subpoena power, to require you, to compel you to be there. Will you go voluntarily, or will they have to be forced to compel you?
You stupid idiot. I wish the next time you talk to the committee chair, ask him if he would be interested in doing a hearing on how reparations can transform people's lives.
Dumb. You turn that on to reparations. Done. Awful. Just awful. And after I finish with this man, we won't be hearing nothing else from Brandon Johnson for a while unless he do something else stupid. Which I'm sure he will. Y'all think the Obamas getting a divorce? I ain't know I still had that ASAP Rocky stuff in here. And this gets on my nerves. I got to talk about them trade wars too, y'all. They are real.
In the car right now with an ICE team, one of 10 teams that's out in Chicago this morning, and we are heading to a staging area where they're out to get a Venezuelan national with a criminal record. They're hoping he's home. They're hoping they can detain him today as part of what they call targeted enforcement. I've heard that there are organizations helping these people learn what they can and cannot do to evade arrest.
Right.
Right, yeah. And we have, even locally here, since we started this, our kind of enhanced targeted enforcement efforts that we've seen it more difficult for our officers to make arrests.
And that is because...
I think they are, wise to it. There are a lot of efforts out there to, educate people on the things we can and can't do. And again, we have the Constitution in place, so our officers are maintaining that. So that's fine that everybody knows kind of what we can and can't do. But also, we have to know that, we do have, while they might not be a criminal warrant, we do have administrative warrants for all of these people, which means that they are, arrestable. They are removable from the
Exactly.
So it's not.
And you teaching them they don't have any rights. How do you have rights and you're not a citizen? It just doesn't make sense to me. It makes no sense to me. Let me see. Oh my God. I guess I got to get in on the big meat stuff. I'm glad it's finally toned down. Sometimes I like to just come in later. Hey, I ain't know I had that much. Oh, that's Colorado, y'all. Oh, here we go.
Welcome back to the news at 9. A new poll reveals how Chicagoans feel about their mayor and the powerful Chicago Teachers Union.
Our Paris Schutz breaks down the results. The mayor of the CTU and CTU president Stacey Davis Gates are deeply underwater in terms of favorability. The poll sampled 798 voters and was conducted by pollster M3 Strategies and commissioned by the libertarian-leaning Illinois Policy Institute.
Teachers Union. The poll asked, do you have a favorable opinion of Mayor Johnson? 14% answered strongly favorable or somewhat favorable. 80% unfavorable. It also asked their opinion of the powerful Chicago Teachers Union. 28.8% said strongly or somewhat favorable. 60.2% unfavorable. The rest with no opinion. And the controversial president of CTU, Stacey Davis Gates, who recently came under fire for comments disparaging special needs students. 18.5% of the respondents said favorable. 55.4% unfavorable, the rest with no opinion. The results come as the CTU has threatened to strike, as they still have not been able to reach a labor deal with CPS.
Chicagoans like their teachers, love their schools, but they do not like the Chicago Teachers Union political machine. In fact, for every one Chicagoan with a favorable opinion of the CTU, 2 have an unfavorable opinion of the CTU.
CTU and Mayor Johnson declined to respond to the latest survey results, but this morning the mayor was asked about the prospect of teachers going on strike.
Schools that are fully resourced, fully staffed, with rich, broad curriculum that includes after-school activities. That's what the people of Chicago want. That's certainly what I want as a parent. And we're going to continue to push in this moment to ensure that every single child across the city of Chicago has a well-reached.
But he didn't talk about his 6% rating, did he?
Policy Institute, which says pollster conducted a cross-section of Chicagoans, all neighborhoods and ethnic backgrounds, to get these results. Not good for the mayor. Poll sampled 798 voters from January 21st to the 23rd and asked them, do you have a favorable opinion of Mayor Johnson? 14% answered strongly favorable or somewhat favorable. 80% unfavorable, with the rest having no opinion. Also asked the opinion of the powerful Chicago Teachers Union. 28.8% said they had a strongly or somewhat.
80% unfavorable. You should just resign yourself. But he too arrogant to do that. He too arrogant to do that. He needs to resign himself. That's what he need to do. Oh, I gotta get into that P. Diddy. Here go Pam Bondi. Get him, girl. Get him.
I think 2025 is going to be pretty exciting. Because when you guys say you to the federal government, they're going to say you too. Because you guys think that you don't like what we do. But you're going to have a sore awakening when the federal government comes after you for aiding and abetting. And they're going to be like, you get a jail cell, 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 you get a jail cell. Probably all you guys too. So it's going to be actually really exciting. And I bet you guys are terrified, but you're going to continue to go down this same path of, with your UN agenda. It's going to be great to see it all unfold and unravel and be flushed down the toilet like the pure water you want us to drink.
Facts.
It's going to be fantastic because Tom Homan is going to come after you. And then my gavel broke.
Facts. And they coming. And they did. And it ain't over.
It appears that you're going to force them to subpoena you to go as opposed to voluntarily going. I mean, why not just voluntarily go and make your case to the American people before the Congress?
Well, as I've said, and as our corporate counsel has indicated, there are ongoing conversations. This is not just simply about testimony. There are, if you look at the entire scope, Mary, I believe I'll get this correct. The entire scope, there are documents that they're asking for.
And we are back, y'all. Thank you for...
Anyway, he ended up going and looked like a fool. They tore him a new, they tore him up. They tore him up and he deserved all of that. Oh no, that's Eric Adams.
The Department of Justice has hit the city of Chicago and state of Illinois with a lawsuit alleging the sanctuary status here is obstructing federal immigration enforcement.
All new tonight, our Charlie DeMar caught up with the mayor and is live now with his reaction. Charlie?
And Joe and Erica, this lawsuit comes just a day after Mayor Brandon Johnson voluntarily agreed to testify before Congress next month. Johnson also adding that this is yet another example of the president creating division and chaos.
I'm going to continue to stand up and fight.
Tonight, Mayor Brandon Johnson responding after the Department of Justice accused the city and state's sanctuary status of obstructing the federal government's ability to enforce immigration laws.
We are not going to cower to political motives to undermine our
Yeah, you're not going to cower, but you sure did.
Unleash the power of knowledge and connect with.
Effort has been started by a man named Dan Bolin, and he is joined by a copious amount of Black Chicagoans who have really rang the alarm in what Brandon Johnson has not been doing for them. And they also are going to be joined by the Fraternal Order of Police, who said that Brandon Johnson reneged on a campaign promise, saying that they would be able to hire private mediations to deal with the department's serious cases, right? So they said he just has not thought about any of that at all. Now, in order to recall Brandon Johnson, they're going to need over 56,000 signatures. And once they get that, in order to get it on the ballot, sounds like they're going to need another set of signatures. So in essence, that recall effort is not going to take place if indeed it's successful.
I wish they would have recalled him. I sure do. Wait a minute, oh, that's in Detroit. Oh, that's in Detroit.
Mayor dragging around an almost incomprehensible. The reason why we're covering Mayor Johnson, brooking no diversity, there were many.
Commissioner was tasked with overseeing O'Hare's expansion and modernization.
Because that's an ongoing project that Jenny Reed has had a lot of ownership of, and now you're going to change course in the middle of that. That raises questions about what that's going to mean for that project.
Mayor Brandon Johnson, in a statement, said Rhee embodied the best of public service. Rhee said, "I am eternally grateful for the opportunities that have been afforded to me." But questions have been raised about the timing of Rhee's retirement, following the mayor's comments Monday night about certain administration holdovers.
I would have cleaned house faster. So there's a whole bunch of people like, oh, shoot, he's about to get fired. Well, he's about to find out. Stay tuned.
The mayor's office did not respond to our questions about who the mayor was referring to. Alderman Brian Hopkins says he spoke to Rhee after the announcement.
She wasn't indicating that this was her time frame. She would have liked to have stayed on to complete the terminal project, to complete the new gates.
Right. Not just fired her. And she was competent. Oh, that's big meat. Oh, we almost done. I'm going to finish this up. I was going to get into Wendy Williams. All right, come on. Oh, you know what I was thinking about? I should talk about C. Murder. I used to love me some C. Murder. If I could see. We're going to do Adam Schiff, Crooked Butt. We're going to do him. Well, I was doing Wendy Williams next, but shoot, I done got tired. Let me see. Oh, here we go with his horrible butt.
One Chicago resident, visibly frustrated, directed sharp criticism at the city leaders for their handling of the city's finances, accusing them of overspending on migrant care while the city faces a growing deficit. And we are back, people. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button. The federal government has given the states and the city, Illinois government, for money.
Property replacement tax, that's money paid to cities from state collected business taxes. Last year it was restructured, reducing the payment to Chicago by $169 million. But Johnson is also preparing for another big conversation when he testifies on Capitol Hill next month about Chicago's sanctuary city ordinance. The law prevents law enforcement from helping ICE agents on immigration matters.
I always do my homework, right? And we will continue to do that. But here's the most important thing. We are a welcoming city for a reason.
The mayor was asked if he's ready to take center stage in D.C.
So here's a good thing. That the people of Chicago will be on center stage. I'm representing the values of Chicago.
Mayor Johnson says one lesson he has learned in dealing with the Trump administration is not to flinch. He says when he testifies before Congress, he will take with him the grit and toughness that Chicago is known for.
All right, y'all. So now you've seen the news report.
Wrong answer. Wrong answer. You want to establish a relationship with whoever's in power to get the money and things and resources you need for your city, idiot. You don't create animosity when your city needs money and resources. You want to create a cordial relationship with who's ever in power. He's such an idiot, which Eric Adams did that. Eric Adams did that. He was the smart one. And got his case dismissed. He was the smart one. You don't create animosity with somebody in power that has the power to help you or hinder you. And you have to think about your constituents, which he obviously doesn't think about, because you wouldn't have been helping illegals like this at all. And it's shameful. Here we go. Here we go.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like.
Chicago aldermen are pushing back and stalling a final vote on Mayor Johnson's planned $830 million bond proposal.
The bond would fund capital projects, but many are concerned about long-term costs. Initial estimates show a total cost of $2 billion to repay the bond. A city would pay only interest for the first 19 years. Principal payments would start in 2045. The costs would grow from $27 million to about $129 million by the debt's due date.
Wow.
I urge you to look at the current position that the city is in and the necessity this bond issuance holds in ensuring the safe and continued growth of our city. We've been issuing GO bonds
and that's a bad deal. You're not even going to be paying on the principal of that. Who does that?
Let's remind the people of Chicago that Brandon Johnson spent $32,000 in campaign funds on haircut and makeup. Just some makeup for you right here. You got some rouge, you got the makeup brush right there, so you can save this people some money, for crying out loud. Now, let me tell you people, I'm going to be serious here. We need to start voting different in these cities like New York and Chicago.
Facts. Facts. He spent $32,000 on haircuts and makeup. I forgot about that.
Representing us. We represent ourselves just fine because I'm a natural born citizen right here in Chicago, and I can represent it better than you can.
And we are back, y'all. Go ahead and hit that like button. Did you notice? Are you doing this? We're trying to find these people. So some Chicago residents don't.
And then you got Pixner saying, we'll never bother Trump. Chicago mayor refused to hand over migrants.
J.D. Pritzker.
Let me see if I can.
For ventilators and N95 masks during the worst of the pandemic. We made a deal. And it turns out his promises were as broken as the BiPAP machines he sent us instead of ventilators. Going along to get along does not work. Just ask the Trump-fearing red state governors.
Look at all of these fear-mongerers and these
right.
fraudsters. All of these people that's sitting there right now that is applauding, and the blue state of Illinois wants to keep the fraud running. They want to keep their pockets lined. They're fearful of what's happening in the
and that's
government.
Anton Daniels' channel. I love him. I love him. Y'all know TD Jakes getting sued, and he being apparently investigated. I'm gonna get rid of all this. I already did Herb Gotti. I thought I had deleted all this. Oh, this coming to it. Oh, I'm gonna talk about Black Sam and Rockstar Black Sam Nipsey Hussle. Brother went in. Yeah, oh, we coming to an end. Oh, they say Kiki Wyatt was having relations with her own cousin. That's what the last baby daddy said. Okay, we almost.
Brandon Johnson is in Washington getting ready to testify before Congress about Chicago's immigration policies. The mayors of Chicago, New York, Boston, and Denver were all summoned to testify before the Republican-controlled Oversight Committee. The hearing scheduled for Wednesday. The Trump administration has sued Chicago and other cities, saying their status as sanctuary cities violates federal law. And that testimony is part of a pivotal week for the mayor. He'd like to be talking about a reduction in crime rather than sitting through this spectacle in D.C. Joining us now is the mayor's chief of staff, Cristina Pacione-Zayas. Thanks for being with us.
We ain't gonna let her talk because guess what? He looked like a fool. This is why he got a 6%.
The state has underestimated the amount of money that they spent on migrant health care, which is also sending our state budget into a $2.2 billion deficit.
And we are back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, people. You know, it helps
Reporters' questions as he did today.
Good morning, everyone.
Former Congressman Luis Gutierrez took part in hundreds of committee hearings during his 26 years on Capitol Hill.
I think the mayor is just too new and too ill-prepared
to
really go into this circus, because that is what it is going to be.
But the mayor's team is preparing him for his moment in the spotlight when he will be asked to defend Chicago's welcoming city ordinance, which prevents police from cooperating with ICE on immigration matters.
I'm going to show up. I'm going to show up for the people of Chicago as I've always done. And I can't say I'm looking forward to it, but I will certainly say that when I get there, who I am is who I will remain.
Johnson says
Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy.
Former Education Secretary Arnie Duncan, as well as Congressman Danny Davis, seeking advice.
This is about Chicago. This is not about, Brandon Johnson. I am part of a long legacy of leaders in this city. In this
I can't even stand for the man to talk. That's for real. Oh, I'm gonna end with that one right there. Here goes some clips from the meeting. We almost done.
Mayor Johnson, how about you? How many, according to my records, you have welcomed 51,648 illegal aliens to your sanctuary city. So I don't ask you, sanctuary from what?
If you're referring to the number of individuals that were bussed from Governor Abbott without any coordination, the 52,000 individuals that were seeking asylum, those individuals were bused to us. I passed a bus ordinance to work to coordinate with the governor of Texas. He refused to do that.
That wasn't the question.
That
wasn't the question.
Individuals was the result of the governor of Texas, not the result of a welcoming city ordinance.
Welcoming city ordinance. So you're not welcoming these people that came here illegally?
The individuals that were bused to us from the border.
They were not welcome in Chicago. You didn't welcome them. You didn't provide them sanctuary.
So the Welcome in City ordinance is pretty straightforward. It allows for our local law enforcement to focus on local policies, and that's why we're seeing a decline in violence.
So you don't care about federal law enforcement policies, only local policies.
We comply with all laws. What I do care about is this body, Washington, passing comprehensive immigration.
So let me ask you this. Chicago residents reported 28,443 violent crimes during 2024 alone, cases of aggravated assault rising to the highest level in 2 decades. Now, also, state funds, $160 million, were issued to illegal alien job assistance shelters in Chicago. You're the mayor of Chicago. Do you think that your residents or the residents of your state should be paying for that more than they should be paying for their own needs,
Facts.
their own roads, their own public
Facts.
safety?
Facts.
Who elected you? The people that came illegally, whether they were sent to you or not, or the people that reside in Chicago?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The people of Chicago elected me as the 57th mayor of the city of Chicago, and we serve all the residents of the city of Chicago.
Illegal or not, criminal or not. How many of the 662,566 illegal aliens with criminal histories that ICE has reported are now residing in Chicago?
Someone will have to get back with you with that number. I don't keep account
Do you
of.
take immigration information from criminals as they're arrested and processed? Do you take immigration information?
Our local law enforcement focuses on getting all violent individuals
Do you
off the
determine
streets
whether
of
they're
Chicago.
here legally, what their immigration status is as a function of your justice
Given
system?
time's expired, please feel free to answer the question, Mayor.
The Welcome in City ordinance ensures that our local residents communicate and trust local law enforcement to ensure that criminals and crime is being addressed.
We
That's
have
why
no
violent
idea
crime
you're illegal.
has
Thank
gone
you,
down
Mr.
in the
Chairman.
city
Now
of
you.
Chicago. Thank you very much.
Chair now
Mr. Chairman, I have a unanimous request.
Terrible. Just terrible. Terrible. Who elected you?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I would thank you for allowing me the opportunity to wave on to this important committee hearing today. I want to thank the witnesses. I represent a district right outside of Chicago, the excerpts of Chicago representing Rockford, Bloomington Normal, Peoria. And I want to thank you, Mr. Chairman, for having this hearing. It's past time that individuals like the mayors we have before us come before us and explain to the American people why you continue to fail to enforce the laws of our country and allow illegal immigrants to flood into our communities. And it's clear to me that sanctuary city policies have significantly harmed our once great cities, which is very, very unfortunate. During my time as an elected official, I have strongly condemned the policy around sanctuary cities and the impact it's had on the state of Illinois. And I believe every sensible resident in Illinois knows these policies have further harmed the economy in Illinois, increased crime throughout our state, and endangered hardworking, law-abiding Illinois citizens. I want to turn my attention to you, Mayor Brandon Johnson of Chicago. As I've watched you over the last 2 years that you've been mayor, I've been amazed at how tone deaf you have been and how oblivious you've been to the decline of Chicago. And I say that looking objectively at a number of things. Out of control crime in Chicago, people scared throughout neighborhoods on the west side, south side, north side. Morale has never been lower with law enforcement and CPD. Record number of police officers leaving the force.
Facts.
We have been hemorrhaging people out of the city of Chicago to the suburbs and elsewhere where they feel safe. Record number of businesses fleeing the city of Chicago.
Facts.
You couple that with record deficits. $2 billion deficit, the $2 billion deficit line of credit that you just had to take out this week. But you've spent $300 million of taxpayer money on illegal immigrants.
Facts.
And when I think about all of those things and I look at the strategy you continue to take, I mean, you're putting the interest of illegal immigrants above the interest of taxpayers in Chicago. But you continue to go down this path. And for the life of me, I can't understand it. So, Mayor, tell me why you continue to put the interest of illegal immigrants above taxpayers in Chicago.
Thank you for your representation. Violent crime is down in Chicago.
Well, let me reclaim my time. So I have a statistic here. Last year, Chicago had 573 murders.
Down.
Okay, but I want to compare that to the city of New York that is almost 2/3 the size of Chicago, 337 murders. So you had 573 murders in the city of Chicago, and you're 1/3 the size.
That's the lowest amount in 5 years under my leadership.
Okay, and you look at the level of violent criminals, sexual offenses, and drug dealers.
All violent crime is down in Chicago. In fact, just this year alone, Congressman, respectfully, there's a 20% decrease in violent crime in the city of Chicago.
I don't agree with your statistics.
Well, it's not a matter whether or not you agree with it. It's a matter of whether it's
let me reclaim my time, because I thought you might do this. And when I hear your answer, no one in this room should be surprised that your approval rating is 6.6%.
Facts.
Now, that's not just me saying this. Newsweek article, the least popular politician in America.
Yep.
Is Brandon Johnson. So, recent poll, M3 Strategies, conducted this February 20th to 21st, showed that Mayor Johnson has a 6.6% approval rating, the worst showing of any political figure in the country's history. So, I know you're talking about crime is down and things are great and, you know, the city's flush with money. None of that is backed up by the people in the city of Chicago.
Facts. Facts.
And so I'm wondering why you continue to go down this path of failed policies, destruction to the city of Chicago, people fleeing, law enforcement at an all-time low. And I'm wondering if you have any remorse for that here today and can tell us why you continue to double down on these failed policies.
We've invested $1.25 billion for housing and economic development, particularly for Black Chicago. It's the largest investment in the history of Chicago. 45% increase in youth employment, particularly for Black and brown children. I will not apologize for my investments in the people of Chicago. We have one of the most diverse economies, the top universities. As violence continues to go down and investments continue to go up, that is what's most important. We've opened up 3 mental health clinics, the first mayor since the first Black mayor in the history of Chicago.
I'm going to reclaim my
invest in
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to reclaim my time.
And public health, and I will continue to make those investments.
Your approval rating speaks volumes.
Well, the people does. Investments, and I will continue to make those investments.
You're going the wrong direction. You need to reverse your policies on sanctuary cities. That's what the election results were last year. Crime and immigration were the #1 issue in the election from Republicans, Democrats.
Chairman, the gentleman's time.
We could use your help to actually help us continue to invest in these programs that continue to drive violence down in the city of Chicago, and I'm willing to work with you, and I'm glad I had a chance to finally meet you for the first time.
Gentlemen.
Wrong answer, you idiot. Wrong answer. You didn't answer the question. Wrong answer.
Mayor Brandon Johnson spent hours on Capitol Hill defending Chicago's sanctuary city status. He took a lot of heat from congressional Republicans. Joining me this morning is former Fox 32 political analyst Mike Flannery. Mike, always good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
You bet, Natalie.
Okay, so do you think that Congress learned anything new from these hearings?
I don't think that was the purpose of these hearings. The congressional Republicans who were running yesterday's hearing, just like the congressional Democrats who ran hearings before them, have these things scripted out in advance. The mayor emerged without having blown up or having made a major mistake. It could have gone a lot worse for him. He though does face 2 big threats. That the most serious problems that he faces, obviously, #1, the threat to withhold congressional Republicans in the Trump administration threatening to withhold billions of dollars in federal aid from the city, and then
as they should,
criminal
as they
prosecution by the
should.
Trump administration.
Mike, Mayor Johnson's approval rating has plummeted since he took office. Do you think this appearance maybe help or hurt his chances for re-election? Which, by the way, the election isn't until 2027, but it's worth asking nonetheless.
Yes, certainly. If the mayor had a nickel for everybody yesterday who referenced that M3 poll finding that his approval rating is under 7%. If he had a nickel for everybody who referenced that yesterday, he might have been able to solve the city's deficit. People are flabbergasted by that. The political problem for the mayor is that this very issue, immigration, and how to deal with it, is a political loser for him. He's on the losing side of it. It's an 80, it's an 80% plus issue for President Trump and the Republicans. And surveys have shown indeed that many Hispanics and African Americans across the country.
And that's what's gonna kill him. All right, we're going to end with this because I think that's, yeah, we're going to end with this. Let me go back because I wanted to end with this. And I'm about to do Wendy Williams. No, I'm not. I'm about to go to bed. We ending with this right here. This the kicker.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Luna from Florida.
Mayor Wu, does the Boston Trust Act restrict communication with federal immigration authorities regarding individuals' immigration status, yes or no?
We do not collect immigration status in law enforcement.
I'd just like to point out, and Mr. Chairman, if I could enter the Boston Trust Act into the record. Mr. Chairman.
Without objection to order.
Thank you. On section 4AA, a law enforcement official and employment of the city department, agency, or commission shall not, and then A, inquire of an individual on his or her immigration status. Under Title 8, U.S. Code subsection 1373 stipulates that local governments cannot prohibit or restrict communication with federal immigration authorities regarding individuals' immigration status, so your enforcement of this act is in direct violation of that statute. Can you please confirm?
That is not.
Thank you, ma'am. That's a U.S. code. I don't know about you, but U.S. code does not lie.
We do not ask about immigration status, and that is what makes us
next question, Mayor Johnston, you said in your testimony that the first step you took after illegal aliens arrived was to provide them with housing. Is that correct? Yes or no?
Folks that were on the streets freezing to death, we gave access to shelter. Yes, we did.
Thank you. Not to be rude here, but you have a good understanding of what the definition of harboring is, correct?
I do.
Okay. For those that might not, harboring means to knowingly or recklessly provide shelter or place to stay for an illegal alien. And according to Title 8 of U.S. Code subsection 1324, that is also a federal crime. Just to be clear, did you also say that you would be willing to go to jail to stop deportation efforts?
I did say that I'd be willing to stand up for all of our residents, and the context was that was the point at which the administration was threatening to deploy the U.S. military to streets of our cities to pull kids out of schools and churches, so we were worried about that.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to enter into the record an article from CBS.
Without objection to order.
Thank you. In this, it says, Johnson said earlier this week that he's willing to use civil disobedience and, if necessary, going to jail to stop deportations. My final question would be for you, Mr. Mayor Johnson. Do you believe that Chicago's welcoming city ordinance encourages illegal aliens to enter the United States, specifically into Chicago? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. So you don't believe that banning the transfer of individuals into ICE custody for the purpose of civil immigration enforcement encourages illegal immigration into Chicago? Or how about agencies, or agents not being able to stop, arrest, or detain individuals based solely on their immigration status or administrative warrant?
So we comply with all laws, local, state, and federal.
To me, after this line of questioning, it's very clear that these policies that you have all implicated are active and alive and well in your cities, are in direct violation with U.S. Title 8 Code subsection 1324 and is a federal offense. but you all speak about a broken immigration system, and yet here you guys are aiding and abetting in that entire process. I want to be very clear about something. Open border policies, which is something that you guys are talking about, hurts people on both sides, meaning the people that are coming here illegally and then American citizens as well. I do not think you guys are bad people, but I think that you are ideologically misled, which is why, unfortunately, based on your responses, I'm all going to be criminally referring you to the Department of Justice for investigation. And as soon as I leave here, these will be going over to Pam Bondi. I'm not doing that in an effort to bully you guys, but I do believe that your policies are hurting the American people, and you can make that known with the evidence that you can present to the Department of Justice. But if you guys continue doing what you're doing, you're not going to help anyone. You're going to hurt more people, and that's exactly why I'm tired of it. The American people are tired of it. And Chairman, I yield my time.
Would you yield your last minute?
Yes, sir.
Mayor Adams, you were one of the first mayors in what the media refers to as a blue city, typically, that came out and raised concerns about the influx of illegals pouring into the city of New York. Could you answer the question, what that did to New York City from a budgetary standpoint? Let's not even talk about crime or anything. Let's just talk about from a budgetary, the burden on the citizens of New York City.
As I indicated, Mr. Chairman, we spent $6.9 billion, and the long-term impact of that is extremely significant. After COVID, we had a large number of children who was chronically absent. We could have taken $200 million of that and dealt with that. We have a real mental health crisis in our city. We could have spent hundreds of millions of dollars on that. And so the long-term impact of spending $6.9 billion is going to have serious ramification on the future of New York City. So it's more than just what happened last year or this year. It is what is going to impact us long term.
And I think that's one of the purposes of this hearing, to talk about the consequences from cities that have huge illegal alien populations. So, Chair Nelrick.
Yep. And that's why you the first mayor. You will not be reelected, because you put illegals over your citizens. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Maybe I will do Wendy Williams. Let me see. Hopefully it won't be long. I think I am going to do Wendy Williams. Love y'all.